6, we be in the mix with that rare candy paint job on the whip. I need food for the kids, money for the rent. Fuck a lockdown, baby, I can't do that shit. And I don't never vote, cause I'm fucking broke. And either way, I know the police ain't gon' leave me alone. On a plane, about to visit Glen Rock. Need crypto, told me I should bring the Glock with me. So I packed up my piece and I'm sliding. Cause we might get caught up in a riot. Middle finger Trump, middle finger Biden. Fuck a left, fuck a right, is you riding? Know you love to see it, dudes rocking. Ain't no politics, baby, we just talking. From the birds to the bricks, we be in the mix with that rare candy paint job on the whip. Who you with?
I was thinking the other day, like, you know, the videos of the people tagging swastikas on Teslas.
Yeah.
The you know, Nazi or things like that. I was just laughing because, like, the average dude, you know why I'm gonna laugh here, because the average Tesla owner where I live is an Asian or Indian man.
Yeah, 100%.
He's just like, well, the Indian guy is gonna be like, oh, these are old school Indians tagging my shit. I got you. But
yeah, they're like, do they flip it around to the swastika? You know, yeah, exactly.
The Chinese guy is gonna be like, what the? Oh man, what the hell? Like, it's just funny because obviously it's this, like, you know, there's been jokes upon jokes about it, how they don't draw the swastikas right. Like, they don't even, everyone's got like their take on it. But I am laughing because, like, there is a crazy, the average person that owns like a Cybertruck is like a Middle Eastern guy.
Yeah.
It's not a white guy. It's hardly ever a white guy.
And it's great. This is like a foray for weird, like Sam Sater boomer types to start doing crime. It's like the weirdest, you know, all the videos are like some old guy with like a gray beard keying up a Tesla.
Yeah.
And like we are the furthest thing from Tesla dick riders.
No, I will never have one.
Everyone knows that, but it's just funny. I don't know. And this is the thing, like, if you're anti-Nazi, you would never draw or spray paint a swastika.
Yeah.
Like even as like a protest thing, you know, that's one thing I think like the left doesn't understand about, for lack of a better term, like law of attraction stuff. You know, it's like, don't draw swastikas if that's not your thing. You know, it's like, don't do that. It's
well,
just
guess what? They also would never ever draw like the N-word on like a white supremacist video. Like, they would never go hard R on his shit. like you would never like. Yeah, like that's how you know it's kind of performative, because it's like
N-word. It's like, this is what you said. N-word. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's funny. I didn't even think of that.
You would. This is like, you're probably thanking me for doing this on your truck. The guy's like, that's correct. It's great. Thank you.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But like, yeah, exactly. Like, you would never do that.
You know what else I was thinking is, because 2016 was crazy when Trump first won and everyone was freaking out. And now it's funny how, and I don't disagree, it's like, it's kind of like, oh, Trump won again. It's a little bit more subdued. Yeah. But the more subdued thing is still people freaking out and spray painting cars. Like, that's the, like, oh yeah, whatever. You know, it's kind of weird how we've been desensitized to the most insane shit ever. I don't know. It's just,
I just like, we are like post-protest, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's going to be a big theme of like what we're going to talk about today. Another funny thing.
Do you think objectively that Tesla will lose market share in sales going forward? Like, I thought the reflex is to say, like, the conservatives would be like, no, they're gonna win and kick ass and blah blah. But it's like, then it got me thinking, like, maybe it will, at least a little bit. I don't know. It's interesting. Like, I bet there's a lot of people that won't buy a Tesla going forward now.
Yeah,
you know, for whatever reason.
And I don't feel like there's a lot of people that
I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah. I don't think new supporters are going to be like, yeah, let me get one of those fucking fag mobiles. You know, like,
exactly.
It's weird.
I don't know.
It's weird. I don't know. I don't think so. I guess I have no idea how any of this stuff works. Like, the market's completely tanked, right? So everybody's talking about, like, because I was talking about like Tesla. I was getting my taxes done the other day, and like the guy was making conversations, and he was like, "You play the stock market or anything?" I was like,
"Dude, you're same guy."
The same guy. Yeah, the same guy.
Right on. Yeah, far out, dude.
He's the same guy. Yeah, the same. Very horny.
I mean, was your wife there? Is that like?
Well, she has to be. She has to be. I mean, all of a sudden, I saw $84 come off of our preparation fee, so I was like, well, you know,
it's worth it.
It's very indecent proposal, but it's what I got to do with my tax guy.
Does he have a Tesla?
No, he's old school Indian, Toyota Camry.
Okay, yeah.
That's like OG working class Indian guys Camry all day.
Yeah.
Like Camry. And then so there was the anyways, sidetrack. I was laughing at. I was taking my dog out for a walk before this because he gets really annoying if I don't during this. So I was taking him out, and then I come back and I see the UPS truck is just parked in front of my complex. So I know he's inside the complex. So I walk by and I see him kind of far away. And like I said, my apartment complex is foliage everywhere and stuff.
It's beautiful.
Very under the Silver Lake. Very whoa, this is odd. And so I see it and I'm like, damn, it's a black UPS guy walking right at us. I'm looking at my dog. I'm just like, don't fucking do this. Because he seemed like a guy that would be like, fucking, of course your dog barks at me. He seemed like one of those guys. And my dog just doesn't do anything. And now nothing happened of this conversation, but I was in my head, I was replaying a conversation where he addresses that, where he's like, oh man, they usually bark at me. And I was going to be like, no, mine hates Mexicans actually. Isn't that crazy? He loves you guys.
Yeah. It's like that King of the Hill episode with the Bernie Mac. Where he lady, he's the water heater guy or some shit, and it's pretty funny. It's definitely
that's good.
And the whole bit is no, he doesn't hate black people. He hates servicemen because Hank hates service. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah,
it's the uniform. It's the uniform. Yeah. Because my dog has no rhyme or reason. It could be somebody hacking my neck apart with a knife, and my dog will just be just chilling. You know what I mean? Maybe a couple oh my gosh, a couple of those, and that's it. And then I don't know, Mother Teresa, he'll just tear into her. So I don't know. It's wild. But much to discuss, right? Because right now I've kind of had it with politics, because every time I go on, I'm just what are we arguing about? I don't know. What are we arguing about? And then people are people are live tweeting every day of the Trump administration, which they did under Biden, but that's more understandable when your side loses to be doing that. So there's people every day, and now there's things to be critical of, so we're going to talk about that. I just laugh where people are just they're keeping a tally board, good week, bad week, good week, bad week. I'm just there's gonna be 4 years, guys. So let's
brace yourselves.
We've made our bed. He can't win another term, so it's whatever said is whatever said. So I'm just I'm kind of just letting it happen. I am way more RFK will stop tweeting about racism. Can you go do stuff start tearing shit up? That's a little bit more where I'm at right now in terms of this, but
nothing has really surprised me so far.
No, that's the thing. And that's the thing,
nothing,
right?
It's pretty, and I'm not there's plenty of predictions I've made that haven't come to pass, so I'm not there's some guy like a Scott Adams type guy, he has to be retroactively correct on 100% of his shit. I don't see any for ego reasons or whatever, which is weird when the internet exists and it's all cataloged, archived. But for me, I mean, none of this stuff, it's pretty much exactly how I panned out. Some good, some bad, whatever, and not we'll see.
Well,
down to the measles thing, the RFK thing, but it's
there's that, there's we'll talk about this, the RFK measles thing is interesting, right? Because there's that big grabby headline of an article that says RFK loves the MMR vaccine. He says, go get it. This is the greatest thing ever invented, which man, after many years of people realizing that the media is evil, effectively, especially Fox News and CNN. Sorry, they're both not. When it comes to pharmaceutical, they're more and more agree with each other on these things. They both get fun. Look at any commercial on their network and look at their target demographic. They want to pump these people full of pharmaceuticals at all costs. So, anyways, there's that. The article is he wants him to take the headline. What wasn't there that's not even what he said, right? On the
it was totally, it was a bad Fox News article kind of a thing. And then the crazy thing, they just interviewed the Children's Health Defense, just interviewed the parents of the measles kid death. And of course the hospital killed the kid. It's just not.
So what did they say? What did they say exactly?
I didn't listen to the whole thing, and I don't know. I don't really want to. It's pretty much, but from what I gathered, they're sedating the kid that needs breathing, that having breathing troubles, which you're not supposed to do, all this crazy shit. And it's I'm sorry that there's no reason. I highly doubt that there's any kid that dies naturally of measles without some severe malfeasance in America, right? For sure. Maybe overseas, there's some crazy malnourishment and stuff like that. And everything. But I just think that's actually one of the problems of this whole vaccine thing is that people get in their heads that they don't have to treat disease anymore. Like what do hospitals do? Like what, like COVID, what did hospitals do for you during COVID? They didn't do jack shit. What, remdesivir or ventilation? Like they don't treat disease anymore. They, so it's just, anyway,
it's like fucking juvenile detention. It's like juvenile detention for people who don't take pharmaceuticals. That's like how they treat it. And then they're like, actually, we can get a really good headline out of this. And I don't know, I think there's straight up misinformed people working at the hospitals. I don't know that they're all, calculated like, let's kill this kid. Like, I don't know if they're all doing that. No, to be fair, I don't know that they're not either. But for the most part, I could see just like, because if you just deal with some of these people, these doctors and nurses and stuff, sometimes they're just retarded. Like, it's just you talk to them and you're like, oh, I get why you would kill a kid in the hospital without even knowing. Like with just going like, well, another one lost to measles, and you're just like, oh, well, what about the vitamin A treatment? And they're like, well, that hasn't been proven. It's like, well, we know what didn't work was what you did. That killed the kid. Well, they're like, no, the kid didn't get vaccinated. That's what didn't work. It's like, oh, so then they shouldn't have even brought him in. Oh, now you're getting somewhere. Yeah. We should take these beds for people who are vaccinated. Like, it's like, you fucking, like, no, I get why people don't trust these people. Like, it's tough. And I'm dealing with these people right now. And it's just like, some of them are very good. So like, that's what sucks about it is some of them are like really good, ethical people, and you have to know there is an onus on you as a patient to like kind of do your own application of what the doctor's telling you. Like the doctor, like I had to have an MRI for my back. I cannot see through my back, and I've done red light therapy on that stuff. I've done all these things. I need something. And the doctor is basically saying, I'm conservative. I don't like to operate unless we have to. And then the lady was like, we just really want to make sure we can get you on some sort of treatment plan and get this stuff done. I'm like, wow, that's nice that somebody just immediately wasn't trying to like max out my insurance the minute I walk in there, and it was just, wow, that's really, really nice. But the problem is if you are, post-election, when there's what we think could be a massive turnover in terms of health and status quo in the health industry being challenged, that's easy to martyr a kid right away. In fact, I had a feeling that was going to happen. I had a feeling there was going to be false flags, but sometimes false flags.
Yeah, we both did. Yeah.
Sometimes false flags are the best false flags are the ones you're not allowed to deny because it involves a kid dying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I won't go any further than that, but some people know what I'm talking about. Like there's that's an untouchable thing. Not for me though, because you can just tell, like if you've read anything about measles, if you've watched any TV before 1980 about measles, right? Like any TV about it, it's just like, we're not sure if Bobby's faking the measles or not. It's like, just things like that. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, Brady Bunch. Yeah.
Brady Bunch, all of these things. There's that meme of like your grandma in heaven laughing at what a dumbass you are for thinking measles is bad. Like there's just like a lot of these things, we know that to be the case. So if a kid's dying of it, like you said, there's reason to believe that either his parent, which I'm not absolving them. Like that kid might just be straight malnourished by the parents, which is like, come on, like that's what I'd like to know in this whole scenario. But also these hospitals cost how much money? Like it's all of this. And you have a kid die from something that can really be treated by vitamin A and I think a few other things too.
Well, yeah, and there's just like 5 to 10 things that all hospitals could do and used to do that make no money that are like space age, that we could, we could like the blood light there, UV light therapy on your blood. You just have like a little drip coming out of your arm, UV light that, put it back into your arm. Like that has brought people, when that was big in the in the middle of the century, last century, that brought people back from the dead. Like it was crazy how well that works. You'd think that'd be just standard of care. It's so easy, so cheap and free and effective.
Yeah.
Even if hospitals charged a fucking lot for it unfairly,
at least it works.
At least it works. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just this weird thing. That's one thing. And there's this stuff used to be in like the Merck manuals for every hospital had on their bookshelf and stuff, so it's just, we're in a fucking dark age right now. There's no question about it. And all the hypochondriacs, I'm like, don't you guys want this? Like, why do you want the weird, creepy pharma shit? Like you're hypochondriac. Cool. Like don't you want stuff that actually works, or is this just like a fetish for you or something? I mean, I know it is, but it's, I don't know. It's infuriating. Yeah.
It's sad. I mean, because it's viewed as innovation. It's viewed that we just had stopgap upon. I think some of the treatments were viewed. If you ask anybody who's maybe slightly nuanced, but more to the pharmaceutical side of it, maybe just has a little more nuance than the average one. I know those are few and far between. I could be making this person up, but
no, I think like Brett Weinstein.
Yeah, like people. There's people there's people that listen to this that are just like, I'm getting my whatever thing tomorrow. I think you guys are entertaining, but like, for me personally, I'm gonna go do that. I don't care. So for some people, they might say, look, those treatments were a stopgap. We innovated beyond that stopgap. Now, that's not true. That's the thing. Like, it's just, it's not true. We learned it in COVID. COVID was the thing that showed everybody this entire thing is fake, not just this one thing. This entire, it would make less sense if it was their first mistake, right? Oh, wow, they got this thing wrong really bad and like ruined the world and stuff. But it was the one thing. Before that, they were batting 1,000. Rod Carew, like they were just they were out of control. But that's not the case. We know that's not the case, and all you have to do is really just notice things. Notice the people that are constantly going in and out of doctors' offices that are 34, 36 years old, that are just like, why do you go to the doctor so much? They're like, well, people back in the day didn't have the choice to go as often as I do. I don't think that's why. Like, it's like you eat like shit, you are sedentary, you suffer from diseases that like substance abusers have, like, liver stuff, like all of these things. Like, it's like, that's heart problems, kidney stuff among like millennial men, like, it's just like all of these things that you should not be suffering from. So when people, for me, I'm kind of like telling RFK, like, start getting it going. I know I did say it was going to be a slow process. Maybe I wasn't ready for what I was even saying. But I'm kind of like, you don't need to talk about Israel. Like, there's no reason for you to be worried about Israel right now. Like, it's not your job.
Yeah.
Unless, like it's it's literally not your job, so I get it.
Just hear the Mac Dre beat and go, at RFK.
I mean, like, come on, like, just
RFK gonna ask me to worry about anti-Semitism. Bitch. Told him straight up like this. No, sorry, Bob.
No, sorry, Bob.
No, sorry, Bob, dude.
No, sorry, Bobby. Yeah. But that's exactly. We're gonna get you right back to the episode, but I just wanted to let you guys know of a few other things we offer at Rare Candy Industries. We have a Substack with free and paid subscription options. Free subscribers get access to all written content. That includes Bob's Red Pill. That's the best thing going on the internet right now. Trust me. Paid subscribers get full access to our premium episode feed. And that's just every episode we don't necessarily want to share with the general public, if you know what I'm saying. Again, that's rarecandy.substack.com. We also have merch. That link's a little long for me to say right now, but go to the description, go to our merch store, and find a shirt that's right for you. We have Rare Candy shirts, Dr. Bronner soap label shirts, Rishi mushroom shirts, all types of stuff there. Check it out. There's got to be something for you. And lastly, check us out on social media. On Instagram, we're Rare Candy Pod, but on Twitter, we're at Rare Candy Pod 1. All right, enough of that. Let's get you back into the episode. That's just kind of my thing with this. And like the Israel thing is really bothersome too. That's something that everybody who voted for Trump, that I can tell, still feels the same way as what I'm about to say right now, but it's kind of like, but leftists. I get it because I still feel that way a little bit. But allow me to add the classic little weave in and out of both sides, if I can. The Israel thing sucks, right? We're paying how much to this country? It doesn't appear that there's like an end time. Like, it just feels, everyone's like, oh, well, we'll eventually get to the ceasefire, but Hamas has got to be taken down. And you're just like, I just feel like it's not about that. That's the thing. And then there's people like, well, I don't like Islam and something. I'm like, well, I'm not a huge fan of it either. But I don't think that's what this is about. I think it's being sold to the masses as that, because that's a very easy heartstring to pull on from either side. And it's very easy to, because otherwise people just don't care that much, to be honest. Like if it's not about a certain identity group, that's how wars go on for. the problem is like this. I tell people you could be Jewish and love Israel or whatever. Like, I don't lose friends over that kind of stuff. It's just I have my things. I have like 3 things. It's like a video game where you can arm like 3 things at once. I just never use the Israel thing in my thing.
I 100% agree. I'm not. I have opinions on it, and first of all, it's halfway across the fucking world, and I just don't. And I mean, I think everyone knows where I stand on this. You know, everyone, like regular listeners, I think Israel's fucking gay. I am concerned. I do think they do evil. They both do evil shit in their own weird way. Like, you know, it's like a different flavor, you know, and I do think there's this weird heartlessness within Israelis that seems to be growing, that even Jewish people even notice and stuff, where it's this kind of subhuman thing. That shit's fucking like how many thousands of years old. Ending Hamas isn't going to end that anytime soon. Right. All that. Yeah, but like you said, I do not like if someone has like a pro-Israel take and we're just both American, we're like friends in the same thing, you know, or whatever. And I'm like, I don't care enough to like to struggle session it out or to like hold their feet to the fire of it. I'm just like, I don't know. I do think the Israel thing is a little bit more prominent than many people would have realized. Yeah, like it's almost like more of like a. And I do think like my whole thing is, regardless if you're pro or anti or whatever, I think this seems to be like this some kind of ceiling for politics in America, is this Israel shit. And again, if Trump can, and the Trump administration the second time around can't break through that ceiling, it's gonna be like this elephant in the room thing that's gonna keep cropping up forever. There are a lot more people that are like legitimately more pro everything that's going on, like with the Israel thing, that's like explicitly, and I'm just kind of like I don't know, like I just, it's just not for me.
Well, what's weird
and I say that as someone who thinks like the college protests are so fucking gay.
Well, yeah,
and so, you know, and it's like, I don't know, that's just my thing on it, but I'm happy. Yeah, I think it's like I'm glad people are talking about it. I'm glad it's not my job. I'm glad there's some people I really like that are kind of doing the investigative journalism thing on it, which I like. I don't think the whole like, gosh, just be quiet, let it cook thing. I mean, it's like, okay, like you're not, that's not what I signed up for. You know, I don't know. It's just, I don't know.
I did kind of concede that it was probably just going to be like Democrats do have to pretend that they care about Palestine a little bit. Like they have to pretend. Now we wouldn't see anything actually manifest from that. I don't think. Like I think they would still just be sending the same amount plus the Ukraine money, you know, and all of that. All
like get it out of their system, kind of a thing.
Yeah, but they would. You know, again, the universities are the universities. I think they would leave the universities alone for that reason too. I don't think you'd see a lot of changes. Now, the Trump administration, they don't have to pretend that it's all of that. I do think both sides support that, but the Trump, there's not really a reason for Trump to pretend that he doesn't do that. Like it's obvious that, you know, what I hate. You know, this is what I hate. I just was kind of like, damn, what I hate is that people withheld their vote for it, which is fine. You can withhold your vote for anything. I don't care if you don't vote at all. It's not an issue. But there were people that were willing to just be like, well, now there's no difference because of Israel than Kamala and Trump coming in.
It's like clearly not true.
You have to understand, I was not willing to ever, under any circumstance, give the country over to Kamala Harris. Yeah. Like, I don't regret that at any point. I never will. Like, truly, I never will. Like, so that's really hard for people where this is their top issue. It's really hard for people to and I get that too. For if people did that because of pharmaceuticals and vaccines and all that stuff, like if they were like, well, yeah, but I'm not willing. Like, I know you believe in that, but I don't care. So I get the aggression behind it, but I'm also just, I have to be who I am. I can't.
Yeah. Why are people single issue voters on an issue that's not even in our home
but they're single issue not voters that then anybody, so it's like elections don't matter, but if you vote in them, there's blood on your hands. It's very strange. Like they have this it gets to that weird thing where I'm like, well, if it didn't matter, if the elections didn't matter and your solution is to not vote, then my vote probably shouldn't really matter that much. And then at that point, it's like a lot of these people are looking to like find an attainable boogeyman, you know, where it's like just random person who's trying to ask questions and see what happens. They find a random boogeyman because it's easy to take that guy down. It's easy to haunt that guy. It's easy to do this because damn well, how the fuck do we stop the Israel shit? Like truly,
the irony is that Trump is in many ways such an open book, even on this issue, where the Democrats would be doing the exact same thing, but
and I don't think that's good. That's the thing. Like I don't, I don't even want, because I know you're not doing it, but people will be like, oh, they're rationalizing it. No, it's not. I don't think it's good. I just didn't expect Trump to rug pull Israel. I just didn't think that was going to happen. I didn't. We all knew that wasn't going to happen. Yeah.
I'm not willing to concede any American values for Israel. That's my stance. Like I'm never fucking will. I never, even the free speech thing, all that stuff.
Now that's interesting though.
He could be okay, that guy or whatever. Like, you know, there's all sorts of theories. You know, he could be.
You're talking about the like radical like guy. I don't know his name. They're doing a deport. Yeah, he was a green card holding guy, and they were going to just straight up deport him for. And I didn't read a lot of the story, so I'm just, and maybe some of the listeners haven't either. I just, so they're deport. I mean, is that what the reason though? Like, was it just like he just said something?
It's unclear. It's unclear. That's a big part of the contention is so, and that's the thing is a lot of the people defending it are, and I am against it. I do like as far as it stands now, I am against it. It's just really sloppy, if anything else. And from what it stands now, if you're taking the administration at face value, they are going after him for the words that he said. And it's not because of illegal activity. It's not because of whatever. Now, to be clear, I do think that Columbia University protesters did engage in some, at very least, borderline illegal activity. You know, just like breaking shit and making sure students terrorizing stuff and everything. What's ironic is I think this guy, the actual guy, because I've looked I haven't wasted a lot of time on this, but I've looked pretty hard. People will be like, he said this, and then you look and you can't find any source for where he said
right. That's my thing.
Ironically, this guy is like seems to be more one of the, from what I've seen. A video clip could change this tomorrow, you know, but he seems to be more one of the more peaceful kind of let's figure this out kind of a guy. I don't think that there's not one clip of him saying the word Hamas. You know, apparently it's really confusing. There's this other guy with the exact same name that is way more radical. And then it got me thinking it would be funny if like the Trump admin went after the wrong guy. You know, that's like legit funny. But
they're like, confirm your social security with these 5 numbers on the phone, please.
Yeah. But everyone's trying to big brain this, and I'm sorry, like
it's gay.
It's like why Israel? Why is this one issue with Israel is the one time we did this going after a guy? And we look, our podcast covered for 4 fucking years anti-free speech stuff from the COVID left. Like I think we paid our dues.
And that's why that's the ultimate quandary right now is because I feel so my problem now there's 2 things. There's one thing you said earlier that I wanted to talk about. You said, I will not sacrifice any American values on behalf of like Israel versus Palestine. The problem is that every time Israel feels like they're under attack, what gets outlawed? Is it the Quran? No, the fucking Bible. Like we're not like that's my thing. It's never like the Quran is not allowed to be read during this thing or whatever. Maybe they do. I don't know. But for the most part, it's like, hey, these like 6 passages are like not chill of your book, and we're like, well. By the way, if you go to like most church services that aren't like libtard LGBTQ churches, most of them are like, let's pray for Gaza and Israel all day. Like Christians support Jewish people a lot more than the other way around. It's like I'm not saying that's the right thing. I just laugh at every single time. It's like the problem is that it keeps bleeding over, and I will give leftists some credit in that sense, even though I don't even know if the right things they're talking about are happening. But it doesn't stay over there. Like I do think that that's true. And we talk about the college campuses too. Like the college campus thing sucks because it's like at the end of the day, college campuses are just protest breeding grounds. Like this is what they do most of the time. Now, some of these universities, not quite so much, right? Harvard, Columbia, and stuff like that. Not exactly the schools where those would happen typically. And to any protester at that school, I'm kind of like, you should drop out of that school. Like, really,
yeah.
like who do you think that
No,
school supports? Honestly,
well,
like
that's exactly what I
that,
did.
like that's kind of my thing. Like, don't try to succeed within that school. Like, I'm sorry,
No,
and there's a lot of people that go, well, that's prestigious education, and we need our guys. And guess what? They will make you, after a while, you will not be their guy anymore. These Ivy League things are all just breeding grounds for suspect activity. Like, yes, good people come from there, but like for the most part, like those things are funded by not Palestine. And so that's that. And on behalf of that, I don't think people should be, deported or arrested for free speech thing. But again, destruction of property, like all of these things, like you got to be careful in how you do this thing. Like you can't do it. So if that's happening, then like don't like be more organized is what I mean. Like be actually more organized.
Got to be airtight.
And then also the problem with me is, like, let's say I go full throated on this. Let's not say that actually. Let's say I go. Let's say I support. I'm like, you know what? Fuck that. Like, these people are right, because ultimately, I'm like, well, I support their right to protest and stuff. Like, but I got to know that you at least didn't think I was evil for the Canadian trucker protests. I got to know that you at least, like, I'm just like, I have a hard time believing that this is less than just a single issue thing. And I'm kind of like looking at it, and I get it. That's not a way to go about life, but it kind of is. And it's a primal human emotion when you realize that what you give into the world isn't reciprocated back from you. Like, what was your position on vaccine mandates? What was your position on the Canadian trucker protest? What was your position on January 6th, frankly? Like, what was your position on all of these things? Like, if I find out that at the very least you were like, you know what, it is what it is. Like, people organize. I don't agree, but I organize. Okay, maybe we can talk. But if I go march side by side with these people, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, okay, now that we've got what we wanted, here's what I would do. Here's what I would suggest. Like, I guarantee we won't agree on anything to a fault and to a destruction point.
Well, that's very well said. That it's clear that a lot of this college stuff is, and I say this as someone who's sympathetic to those views, is
I agree,
manufactured and adopt, and it's harnessing this energy that you really only have when you're in your 20s and you're in like a retarded ass college like Columbia or something like that. I've fucking been there. I have that. I've been around those people before.
Okay, real fast. I know your situation, and I know some of these people. How much of these people do you think? Because sometimes I look and I go, no, this fake. feels like protesting against your dad, kind of.
It's
like,
fake.
There's a lot of Jewish. Like, I feel like there's a lot of Jewish people that are against Israel. And I look, if you are right now, that's fine. I think there's some people that are like going to eventually grow up and become their dad a little bit, and then be like, oh, it wasn't so bad. And I'm like, are we just catching you in a transitory phase?
That's
like,
for sure.
There is a real opposition to this. I'm not saying that it's all fake. I just mean, I know some of these. When I see Ivy League, if this is happening at Ball State or something, like, or just a random, like Bowling Green, or like some of these other, Bowling Green's or Kent State, like those schools that really, like, where they start bringing out the fucking guns back in the day and shooting you and stuff. But when you see people like that, like kind of state school people, like, which I'm sure there are those protests, and the Ivy Leagues are the ones that are getting the mainstream press, I kind of like maybe view that as a little more genuine. And I just feel like a lot of people are being hyper reductive about this because they're tired of ever talking to a leftist ever again, which, to be fair, probably not the worst idea. But I just mean, I don't like the precedent that it sets. And I get it that you can't be this libertarian principle brain guy all the time, because if you're the only one with principles don't exist. Like, so that's I'm sorry, you can't be the only principle. Now, spiritually, that's great, but in terms of governing a country, it's not.
No, I agree. That's part of and for the record, I was never an Israel Palestine college protester, but I was for a couple years, slightly to my embarrassment, in the activism scene. I'm not embarrassed by. I was actually quite proud of the stuff I was into. It wasn't Israel Palestine, but I noticed, everyone else was around. It was all this fake facade, and that's part of the reason why I got out of it, because I was like, this is all fake, and you're all going to graduate and get $200,000 a year jobs straight out the gate, and it's at some NGO, and it's just, and they were also scared to talk about the real shit too, is what I noticed. So it was like 100%, and also I don't like the way I did my thing is I wanted to legit educate people and talk about stuff and like bring people in and lecture peacefully, 100%.
Yeah.
I fucking hate the window smashing shit. That's fucking weird. Sorry. And it's like, and I'm not saying that window smashing is worse than nuking Palestine babies.
Right,
You know, I'm not,
which
but I'm like,
is always the fallacy. They
yeah,
jump
no,
to whenever you critique any method of their
I don't think it's the solution that they think it is. It's clearly not, because it's clearly
no,
not.
it's not. Like, it's
And
a tantrum. I
yeah.
mean, it's a tantrum. You threw a tantrum, and tantrums come from natural places a lot of times. Now, sometimes, now to be fair, there shouldn't be people just placing pallets of bricks for your tantrum.
That's what I'm saying.
Like you know, like in Minnesota and stuff. Like, there shouldn't be stuff like that. And there are
you have to be careful. You have to maintain your principles, at least in your own personal being. And you also have to be concerned about how you're going to be used by some broader forces, you know. And I think that's you know, I would never say, you know, like the George Floyd stuff. I think people did have some they felt some legit grievances within their soul about stuff.
There was
for
some
sure,
organic
for sure.
Yes.
But it's like it clearly got out of hand. And with this guy situation, I have seen a lot of people just assume, is getting very lazy and assume shit. And it's, I don't know, this might piss off some of our listeners, but just you know, like this weird, like, it reminds me a lot of the COVID stuff where you're like, well, he did this, and you like, it's like, show me. Just like, again, I'm not even defending this guy. It's just, we just got to be careful with this stuff, you know. And it's, I don't know, and the precedent, you know, like honestly, I think or what's his face, the Christopher Hitchens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Christopher Hitchens was on a green card in America for 20 years, and he said all sorts of crazy shit, you know. And it's like, and I don't think he should have been deported, you know. And I don't think, and he was like pro Iraq war, and he was like saying,
why don't you just become a citizen, though? That bothers the hell out of me. You're here for 20 fucking years on a green card. Like, there's people I know who are doing this right now, and it's really fucking performative and annoying. Because I agree. It's like, there's people like I know people in California, and I know you're talking about something else here, but when I was like, I know some people in California who were like born here, maybe their parents came here over here illegally or something, did the whole you know, have a kid here to stay here or whatever, and then like I know somebody who's like effectively American, right? This guy's like an American Mexican guy, doesn't have an accent to say, like, nothing like that. It sounds like me talking, but you know, for technically is here on, I think, a green card or something like that. But this dude like took the DACA dreamer thing and like thought that was like for life, and that happened. And then Trump gets elected the first time. This guy and the people around. To be fair, I've only heard secondhand things. I've never talked to this actual guy about it, so it might just be the people around him freaking out. But this is a guy who has kids here, like with an American citizen, has kids here, and just was like, I'm like, what do you want the fucking to go back there so bad for? Like, you know, like why wouldn't you just, if you had your family here, and he's a very good dad to these kids, I know this guy, wouldn't you like, okay, this is my home, you know, like at this point,
if you're so concerned after Trump won and Biden won, it's like you had 8 years of like leeway to figure it out and get your, you know what I mean? It's like, it's almost like, do you? No, I know it's weird. You always hear these stories of people in California, like some of my family too, that some of their friends, they're like, we're really concerned about Trump because of these people we know. And I'm like, are you just friends with a bunch of illegal immigrants? Like, I don't get it. You know, it's like, that's fine if you are. Like, I don't care. But it's like, is that like a common thing? You know, I don't know. It's just weird.
Well, exactly. So anyways, you were saying like, is like, okay, maybe he shouldn't have been, you know, deported for what he's. I don't know anything about Christopher Hitchens, so whatever he said, he said.
Well, he was funny. He was like a troll. He was really smart guy, and clearly well loved in his group. I don't know. I haven't listened to much of his stuff too, but he said like really funny stuff about the Clintons and like really like arguably deportable, quote unquote, stuff. You know, if this guy with a green card is saying really bad shit about our leaders, I thought it was funny, you know, whatever, you know, like Hillary Clinton or whatever. But I don't know. The principles versus like real politic argument is interesting, but I just think, you know, people are doing this kind of this friend enemy thing, and I just I don't know. Again, like the whole free speech principle is, this started with people defending the KKK marching through the streets. You had Jewish people defending the KKK decades ago. I don't think I don't think Palestine protesters are worse or more dangerous or more, maybe they're more cringe, I don't know, than that, it's like, so I'm just saying, it's like,
That'd be a
I
good
don't know.
thumbnail. That'd be a good thumbnail for this episode where we're like doing this thing, like pointing at Palestinians and the KKK, like who's more cringe?
No, or the Drake meme.
Like just those like it's like those guys that review like Costco snacks or something, but it's like we're pointing at like
or drivers.
like, I have a Palestine flag in my hand and you have a Klan hood on. It would be you, of course. But that was just exactly.
Yeah,
that's why
it's weird because it's clearly the Palestine thing, and I just when it comes to Jewish guys like Eric Weinstein type people, where they're just so concerned that you're not as concerned as them as people being anti-Semitic. I'm like, I'm sorry, like people. Normal people don't give a fuck about Israel, dude. Like, sorry, they don't. Like, they just don't. If anything, they're concerned we're giving them too much money. And again, it's like, you can be pro-Israel. You have to understand why people don't give a fuck, dude. It's like, you have to understand. Like,
and there's there's that commercial with like Tom Brady and Snoop Dogg talking about anti-Semitism, like where I'm like, that's like, totally. And which Ice Cube's just like, Snoop, come on, like,
dude,
like, Snoop, Candy Crush is one thing, but like, please don't take this commercial. But they're talking about it, and then you realize, like, when it's on the rise, I think we talked about it with Max and Jeremy, where it's like, well, these like where the metric then is part of the metric is just people critiquing Israel, and it's like, well, that is very different than someone doing the Louis Ferdinand Celine pamphlets with like the demon monster Jewish people. That's like a lot different than like, you would have to at least say that there's a degree system to like the anti-Semitism, if at the very least, if you were on that side. It's like, okay. And I get it. Like, I get it. This is a very weird issue where if you watch enough of one side, you're like, even enough of the Palestinian protesters, you're like, oh my Lord. Like, you see that stuff. And what you're shown is always, you have to take in account that it's being curated to you. And but one thing it's really been bothering me lately, though, is like the influencer people that are like not Jewish, that like spaz out about Israel, like, and I mean, like in the way, and they're like, look, man, like, if you call yourself a patriot but you don't like Israel, like, and it's a guy like a little like Black Rifle Coffee looking ass guy, like not Jewish in the slightest. You notice like well, actually, Israel's like, paying our Jewish celebrities isn't really working anymore for like advertising. Like, we need like construction worker foreman guys with like tools on the back of their truck to say, and they're talking about like, Israel needs this, like October 7th, Hamas, and like whatever. I do know some construction guys that actually like believe in that stuff. They're ex-military guys, and they do. I'm not saying that's not organic, but I'm laughing because if Israel, or I don't know where the money is exactly, like direct deposit money is coming from, the source, but let's say Israel's paying these people, all right, one way or another, paying these people to say some of this stuff. Because some of this, like the Charlie Kirk stuff, is crazy. Because like Charlie Kirk will just be like, you need to worship the Jew and like love Israel. He'll say crazy shit, like, and you'll see that as the headline. You're like, is that what he said? And you're like, oh, that's what he said. And then you need to
Daily
worship
Wire,
the Jew. You need to do all of these things. And I'm like, well, that's somebody getting paid. Like that's somebody getting paid because. And then I'm also like, well, if Israel's paying them, how is Israel funded? So is Israel taking the money we give to them and then paying our own people to like manufacture consent with that? That could be that's an actual question. Which who else, right? Who else would think of that? But
well, I'm saying, okay, like, what's the for sure. What's the conservative case? You have like conservatives freaking out about Bernie Sanders' healthcare stuff, and yet we de facto pay for Israel's free healthcare. It's like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, what the fuck are we doing right now?
And
like,
even if you were like, so is this a position that could happen, right? I don't think this is a position that could ever exist, which is always why I think something's really astroturfed and like not an organic thing. Beyond tribalism, right? I get why Jewish people support Israel. I get it. Whenever a Jewish guy says I'm pro-Israel, I'm always like, oh, okay. Yeah. Like, again, I get, like, I know there's Jewish people that don't. We've had them on the show. But like, I know that. But when a Jewish guy is just like, I'm a 45-year-old Jewish guy, I work here and I love Israel. I've been twice. Like there's just people like that. If that, I get that. But the people that like, it just doesn't, beyond a tribal thing. You see, is there a position where someone could just go like, look, I would prefer if Israel won this war, but why are we paying for the healthcare? Why are we doing this and that? I've never seen that position exist, which is how I know it's so nuanced proof that it's not organic. And I'm kind of like, that problem, and again, maybe it does, but I just haven't heard it. And I don't like the way this is going, because again, I kind of wanted to just not think about this anymore. And I know it's sad, right? If you're somebody who watches like clips every day of like what's going on over there, you could look at me and go, Glenn, you're a fucking loser for saying that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be that. Like I truly am America first, like America first. And to some people, the right wing side who love Israel, that side, they'll say, if you're America first, you will love Israel because that's our surveillance hub of the Middle East. And I'll go, not really. Sorry. Like, I mean, I'm sorry. That's my extent for like geopolitics in terms of America first is not that. So it's
and also there's Israeli people, and then there's Israel government and Netanyahu, and then there's Jewish people, and it's like, I'm sorry, I'm legit conspiratorial on a lot of this shit. October 7th, like, you're telling me that again, there are questions, okay? There are, without absolving, Hamas or whatever of crimes or whatever. I'm sure there are terrorist cells in Palestine, 100%. I'm not like, I for sure believe in that there are Israeli false flags. I'm sorry. I'm just like, come on. And that has no bearing on Israeli people. The Israeli people should be mad about it. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like,
what one of their OG false flags was?
Well, that's okay. So that's that Ian Carroll guy who I'm not like, I didn't listen to that Rogan episode. I'm not a fan or hater or anything, but I saw so many like legit Jewish Israel, people go like, come on, Ian Carroll, answer the question. Did Israel do 9/11? Yes or no? And they're trying to like do a gotcha. And it's like, well, like, I'm just saying, like, we know that Netanyahu
Were they flying the plane? Were they flying the plane? I don't know. That's what. Yeah,
exactly. I'm not saying that. Yeah, I'm just saying it's like, I'm not willing to get like it. It's just like the whole like, oh, you think vaccines cause autism, huh? Wow, that's crazy. And it's like, they fucking do. Like, I'm sorry, so it's, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know I know that Israel does false flags and blackmail, and we're not like some big like Epstein podcast like blackmail
that
thing.
Stuff exists. Yeah, that stuff.
It 100% exists, and it's like that should be concerning, regardless of if you're an Israeli citizen, if you're an Israeli baker, that should concern you that your country is doing that. It's just like I'm concerned about the U.S. doing shit like that. I don't take ownership for it. It's not my whole problem to solve. It's not my one thing but I'm like, come on, And so I'm sorry, Netanyahu's a fucking weirdo, dude. I'm sorry. Like, I'm just not gonna defend that guy. It's like he's fucking weird. Yeah. It's
and I think, conversely, there is a funny thing I see from people, and it's always it's kind of like my number one problem with the left. I mean, maybe not number one, but up there is, okay, there's people that this is their number one thing. Right? This is their number one thing, and it's free Palestine.
Israel, Palestine.
Yeah, but it's free Palestine, like anti-Israel, anti-Zionism, all of these things, and they'll always get mad about somebody who's just straight up anti-Semitic. Like, they'll get really pissed at that guy, like, who's like, this is anti-Semitic. Like, actual anti-Semitism is not anti-Zion. We don't like getting it conflated with anti-Zionism, and I get that, but I'm like, you sure you guys aren't like a little anti-Semitic? Like, just a little, like just a little anti-Semitic? Like, because I'll put it to you this way: if I thought that was the root of all evil in the world, you'd have to have like a little disdain. Like, like if I thought that, I just mean just a little. All right, case in point.
Yeah,
white people. Yeah, there are people straight up that are just like, I fucking hate white people.
Dude, so exactly. Like, it's not beyond the pale for them to pick groups of people to hate.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's very strange.
On them. Yeah,
this is like that Venn diagram where it's like the woke left and like the Ben Shapiro, Daily Wire. There's like all these weird overlapping.
Yeah, and I get what they're optics, they have to kind of like
for sure.
Like for optics, they have to be like, no, that's not our problem. But what I mean is like, I'm somebody, I don't think I had slave owners in my family. Like straight up, I don't. Irish street sweeper physiognomy. We were the
you
slave.
probably were a slave.
We were,
yeah,
like a white person probably.
You were sweeping streets.
Yeah, we were street. I like it's a peasant mentality, dude. I have my nerve problems in my back are generational trauma. Like and so I'm pretty sure that's what happened. But there are people that straight up will just be like, yeah, but you too, all white people, all like this and that. Like it's, you know, you can get a speaking degree at a university. So what I'm saying is like, why are you so afraid to? It's not that I think these people are like blatantly anti-Semitic, like the people. But if you're like Israel controls everything in our government, but then like you freak out about Martyr Maid on Joe Rogan, I'm like, well, I'm like, and to be fair, I listened to some of the Martyr Maid thing. I don't think that's tight.
From the 5 to the 6, we be in the mix with that red candy paint job on the whip. I need food for the kids, money for the rent. Fuck a lockdown, baby, can't do shit.
I'm not into Hitler revisionism at all. Like it's just not for me. Like I don't think aesthetically it looks cool. Like I just don't. It's just there's all these like random people that like in their 20s that start doing Hitler edgelordism. It's more popular than people think, even if they don't necessarily like. It's a punk. It's like this like punk thing that has always been the case. I never had that phase. I knew people that were like, oh, actually, like you don't even realize like what Hitler was trying to stop and all. Like there was that's always been a thing. Like this isn't some new Martyr Maid thing. Like
I let go of like a not like a really good friend, but like kind of a good friend because he was getting into that. I'm like,
it's not cool.
And I'm like, we weren't even we were just kind of playing phone tag after we had met and living across the country and stuff. And I was just
as you do.
Yeah, you know. Well, and I was just like, the last time we talked, he was just like talking about Hitler, and like I could tell he wasn't even trying to be serious. I'm like, dude, what? I'm out, dude. Like I'm out. I'm Mark Cuban, dude. I'm out. Like I'm good off that, dude. It's like,
so what he was saying was that, and I could be having this wrong, but I think I'm in the ballpark here, is that the biggest thing people say is like, for Hitler apology. Apparently this is a big debate. Apparently it is.
Yeah.
In 1922, when Hitler was like first giving speeches and stuff like in Germany and all of that, the case was that he was calling for extermination since like 1922. So it's just always been his thing, and then it was put into practice in in the 30s and 40s and blah blah blah. The party line happened, and then what Martyr Maid was arguing, and I'll give this guy, I think what really pisses them off about him is this dude's really measured and calm the way he speaks. Like he's really just like, he seems like he would just work at a university and would just be speaking. He's not well, no, like what? Like he's not doing that. He's not like, he's just very like calm, and I think that's what really sets people off. But I just kind of think like he argues over like semantics over like what Hitler said, and I'm kind of like, all right, but let's be real, like he meant that, like
it's
like,
kind of like that Succession clip with the Mein Kampf guy, that, remember that, where they're like, all right, did you read it? He's like, yeah, I read it like 5 times, and that whole thing.
Well,
and it's like,
anyways,
like
what he said was, exactly. And but like what he was saying was like, no, he was calling for deportation of all like Jewish people. I'm just like, well, that's all right, you know what I mean? Like I could see how deportation would elevate 10 years later into execution. Like you don't see that, like I can see why that would happen. And I'm like, what do you like? The guy sucks. Stalin sucks. Hitler sucks. All of those people suck. Like, I'm sorry, that shit sucks. Those are the people that, but what I mean is like, I'll see people who are like, Israel's the root of all evil. They did 9/11. They did this, they did that. They, puberty blockers, all of these things, like all of these things, whether true or untrue, all of these things happen. And they'll just be like, but I'm not anti-Semitic in the slightest. I'm like, just own it, dude. Like, just own a little bit that you are a little bit. You know what I mean? Like just again, then I don't want to hear a thing about how like people, like random white millennial guys in 2025 who don't own a thing to their name are, white privileged. Instead, I think in the same breath.
You have to be anti-Semitic enough to look at Rabbi Shmuley and be like, dude, who the fuck is that guy? Like, it's like, you have to be like, okay, what are we doing here, guys?
Dude,
like,
the Howard Stern guy who used to be on Howard Stern in the 90s, and like Howard Stern would like roast him Jewishly. you know, and
Yeah.
and it would be like a thing. And also like, you know, just this kind of, it's just this funny thing, because like there's a lot of people that'll go, well, I am Jewish, so I like it, and they'll be the person that go, well, I am Jewish, I am
Yeah.
against Israel, but I'm also against the anti-Semitism and all that stuff. And okay, sure, maybe there's like a little bit of a self-hate thing. I don't know if it's self-hate,
No,
but
and well,
I think some are. Like when you come from like if you came from a really rich Jewish family,
yeah,
it's very common that one of the children, pet project wise, we all know
Yeah.
these people that come from a lot of money, but they're like posit themselves as this like working revolution person,
Yeah.
put themselves in that position as kind of a penance, but still not denying any sort of
Yep.
privilege that they will get, actual privilege that they will get
Yeah.
from this, which is like, you know, to say that that doesn't exist, watch any movie made by a Jewish guy.
Yeah.
Like it's just there's always that like struggle, and like Woody Allen and all of these things, like this struggle with
Yeah.
with this thing. I just mean, we've said a million different things about this, a million different positions and all that stuff. It's a crazy ass issue that it just seems to intensify more and more. And I'll
Yeah.
say this, like I wish it just stayed a geopolitical thing that I didn't have to worry about. I'll be
Yeah.
100% honest. I
I'm
seriously
worried about
wish
the
it stayed
Maui
that.
fires. The house we gave them $500.
Yeah.
Why can't we could rebuild everyone's fucking home in Maui, in LA, in North Carolina?
Yeah.
Why the fuck aren't we doing that? Like I'm sorry, and with respect to the Israel shit, it's like if you're concerned about anti-Semitism, at some point that has to turn back on.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we shouldn't do ethno states and do this weird ethnic
That's
cleansing
Max
thing.
Blumenthal.
You know,
That's
yes,
the Max
exactly.
Blumenthal take. The
Yeah,
Max Blumenthal
it's-
take is like, you are creating you are straight up creating
Yeah.
a new
like, do you want it to go away? Do you really want it to go away?
A
Yeah,
new
it's like-
generation of anti-Semites, like
Yeah.
a new like you are creating a new, like it's just,
Yeah.
you're like creating that. And it's like, again, there's a lot of people that I just don't know, they support it from like like that'll shut the fucking fags in college up. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like it'll shut that up. And I'm like, okay, I
It's
understand
tempting.
your
I get it.
temptation.
I
I
get it.
understand the temptation. I understand that. It's the bag of kettle chips that you can just eat the entire
Yeah.
thing up when nobody's home. You know, it's
Yeah.
that thing. It's
Salt
decadent.
with a
It's
hint of
easy to
pepper,
do.
dude.
It's
Yeah, it's just-
reductive. It's easy to do. And I don't think the average person needs to be this plugged in to what's
Yeah.
going on. But that being said, I do think there has to be some form of principle. Like I'm sorry, I've seen this used against us not even that long ago. You
And
know,
why
this whole,
is the only action taken for Israel?
exactly.
Why is
like,
the one green card guy we're deporting in Israel great?
Right.
What about all the other crazy shit that people say out of everything? You know, and
exactly. It's
yeah.
just so
Yeah.
that's where I'm at there.
Yeah.
I have a feeling,
Again, yeah, I'm not going to lose friends over this or lose sleep over
some
it,
people, we
you
might
know,
lose some listeners. I don't know. There's
Yeah.
been some people that are just like, no, it's fucking leftist and we never forgive, we never forget. I'm like, well, I don't like
Yeah.
them. Yeah, I don't. That's why this is why this
Yeah.
is the weirdest topic, because it's
Yeah.
like I don't like any of these people.
I
Like
know.
I just straight up don't. I don't think I fit in. I feel like the people talk. I think there's like this weird like scene that people are wanting to maintain
I
like
hate
their
it.
position in. It's
I
like
hate
there's like this scene that people feel the need to pledge their allegiance to all
Yeah.
the time. I'm like, I feel like we've created at least a niche audience to have like I don't mind when people go, yeah, Glenn, I'm team Israel. I'm always like, whatever. I'm not, but that's fine. And we do have people that do that. And I respect there's some coming on soon that like Israel. Like there's like literally we're not changing any of that. And I won't, but
and we've had Max Blumenthal on like
we've
4
had
times.
that,
You know, it's like
and it just
Jeremy
is
Plato,
what it is.
it's like-
It just is what it is. I'm interested, but to me, it's like, man, this is a true political homeless thing to me, only because it's like, it doesn't make me regret voting for Trump. I'm so glad that I did, honestly. Like I still think about every day that we could have had Kamala Harris, that weird Dorito bowl picture for the Oscars and stuff.
It'd
like
be interesting. Yeah. I mean,
No.
what would be happening right now?
we do all the same Israel stuff. Like she
Yeah.
would kind of, I think she'd still want to censor the free speech on campus. A lot of people think that wouldn't happen, but
Just
I think
be
she
quieter.
would. Well, and I don't think she'd take credit for it. I think she would be like, well, the schools are the schools, and these are academic institutions, and they're allowed to govern as such, and we'd have that, and then we'd have this Zelensky thing. Like we'd have this Zelensky thing. Zelensky would be running away like a robber baron every 5 minutes. Like he would just, I'm sorry, it makes their particularly their boomer coalition of libs very, very happy when Zelensky gets a shit ton of money. And it's just, I don't regret that. I don't feel the need to pledge my allegiance to whatever this is. It's fine. It just feels weird that people are just like, nope, that's my take. Like that, no, that's it. Like, or they go hard the other way where they're just like, no, actually, like we need, boots on the ground over there, and like call for war and all of these things. And I'm like, look, you take with a grain of salt when politicians run. Like when politicians run and say, I don't want new wars, I don't want this and that. Like, they're running. It's a job interview. It's the same way as like you have to pretend you're really excited to work at fucking Jamba Juice, because you don't have any money. Like I've always loved the Orange Dream Machine. It's my favorite. Actually, I'm going to create a scholarship named the Orange Dream Machine Scholarship, and I think we should send one kid to school. He will not protest against Israel, Jamba Juice, but we're going to do that. Like you have to kind of do that. So I never expected any change on this, but I don't like the bypassing of civil rights at any point, and civil liberties. I know civil rights is civil rights is a loaded term. Civil liberties.
Yeah. And Trump's thing seems to be, it's like a different style. You get these like examples of pretty egregious, like anti-liberty stuff, maybe authoritarian bend, like we're gonna go after this one guy and we're gonna make an example out of this thing. Or remember like during the first Trump term when he would just put people in vans and drive around for 45 minutes and then release them, which is like not cool, but it's also, he just did that, right? And so it's like a very specific flavor of what's happening here, which I can't say that I approve of or like, or it's not my favorite quality of this administration. The Dem thing is like this pervasive 1-800 Tim Walsh snitch line. Every governor's in on it. Every fucking
community.
Everyone's
it's a community.
It's like this
takes
weird,
a village.
And I think a part of that is because, and I think that's the way left wing and right wing people are wired. Is left wing people can't see that as a bad thing. They're like, oh, of course we're doing that. Of course we're doing the 1-800 line. Whereas right wing people, they do the like, no, yes, it is a real thing and it's good kind of a thing. And that's literally like a psychological finding.
And again, ultimately I voted for a couple of things and I still want to see those things get done. That I threw that out of the way, but I'm like, man, this feels like it's becoming the forefront issue right now. And it's just really, it just sucks, I don't like that. I don't like having to weigh in it on all the time. We've been having a lot of fun. We've been having, we've been covering Prince and Vanity and doing all these really fun things, which I think it's more fun to do right now, than to just all day. And then part of it is people have created an economy of hating on the Biden administration, and now they don't really know what to do. So like, there's also that, and like dissident media just being. So I do think that there is this kind of like rat race in terms of, that's not a good term for Israel, but a race to the top, certain positions. So I think a lot of, and then it gets fed down, and then it's like, man, I just don't like it. I just don't like that stuff. And then like, the Thomas Massie thing, I think that's worth touching on, just a quick touch on it. Like I've always been a big fan of Thomas Massie, and I think there's a lot of people that are like, you guys are betraying Trump by supporting Thomas Massie. And I'm like, no, I think it's, I think it's still good for someone to call out bullshit. Like, I think it's still good for some, and like, let's be real with you. The defunding U.S. aid stuff is really good. Refunding it right away doesn't sound very fun. So
no, and I'm sorry. It's just like, I don't know. Again, people always have these theories about why the thing, and people I respect and like that are like, oh, it's actually this is the strategy. This is the 4D chess kind of thing or whatever. Where I'm like, okay, that might be true. I'm not gonna bet on that. I'm not gonna throw my this is what Trump's doing. This is what the reason this thing's happened. Look, Thomas Massie was the only one that opposed the CARES Act. To the great disappointment of Donald Trump during his first term, right at the end with the COVID shit. CARES Act is the worst congressional act in our lifetime without a question whatsoever. It started all, it kicked off this whole economy thing, this whole fucked, inflation thing, everything that's going on that we see today. It was the CARES Act, and Thomas Massie was the one that, the lone voice against it, and so I'm not saying this is at that level, but it's like, it's clearly Massie has some sort of principles that also he lost his wife, and like, I'm just saying, for me personally, when I've lost a few people close to me, not my wife or anyone like young that shouldn't have died or whatever, but something happens.
Yeah, well, your dad was pretty young,
Yeah, I mean, they were actually the two I'm thinking of were pretty young, and so when it's something that happened, at least for me, when you lose someone close to you, especially in close proximity time wise, when within the months and years after it happened, you stop giving a fuck about what people think of you and what people, you're just like someone close to me died, like we're all gonna die. You stop caring about this superficial type of shit about being on the right team or whatever. And so so I'm just thinking about that with respect to Massie. But the refunding the Doge stuff, so just for people are clear,
please,
so
I'm almost
we're not
clear.
If we're taking this at face value, all the Doge cuts, all that stuff is potentially just theater, and we literally just refunded the exact Biden budget, kicking the can down the road for another year.
Which is what the leftists said would happen. Which is kind of like, I will say, like, that's a tough one. You know what I mean? For me, like, to like, and not all of them. Some people were like, no, actually, I love the things that were being funded. Please don't defund that. But there were some people going like, well, if you think this is base, they're just going to transfer. It's just going to. And I was concerned. I was a little bit concerned about that too. And I just think it's, and then you were saying they might. They were trying to primary Massie or something like that, or I don't know.
With the Republican Jewish coalition, which is like, okay,
my favorite.
Dude, so what I'm saying, so Massie opposes. Massie is very vocal. He's been on Tucker saying, yeah, I'm the only one without an APAC guy, right? And stuff, which is like crazy, right? And then he's like, yeah, I'm not going to, arguably, again, some people are saying that Trump, they're trying to reinstate the executive budget power. I'm not a politics guy. I'm not like,
no, I don't know
where you can pass it through the budget, but then Trump can just rubber stamp it no, and all this stuff. And which I got to say is like, maybe that's true. That's a big if. That's a big if. Okay. So arguably Massie's just trying to hold the Trump administration's feet to the fire for what they said they wanted to do. Right. And Trump gets so wigged out about it that he says the Republican Jewish coalition or whatever name. I don't know why. Again, it's like, why are these things connected? It's like, it begs the conspiracy, right? It's like, it begs it. And so, and I don't think it'll work. I don't think Massie's getting primary. That's the thing.
No,
he's extremely popular.
In his state, I think he ran unopposed. Like, he was literally unopposed in his state, which is a big deal. Like, that means
big time MAGA guys that are like being like, Trump, come on, like, we're going after Massie now over funding and now the Doge stuff that you just cut. It's so ridiculous.
I think that's good though, and that's why I think there's something to be taken from this. Like, it feels like something this is people go, well, Glenn, obviously what you just said, like refunding this, that sounds like shit, but I mean, the opposition and like the outrage machine kind of worked a little bit in a way, like, whereas when you would see, like, when Democrats were in power, it would be Democrat libtard bullshit, support Ukraine, support all this, and then like they would be looking at their squad, right, the base squad people, and they would just show up with a sign like, it's 15 minutes till my lunch break, I'm not listening to y'all. Like, they would just have a sign that says that, and then nothing would happen. It would just be the same horrible shit. With this, at least, like you said, I saw a little movement, I saw a little ripple of people going like, hey, Massie's right. Like, don't fuck with this guy. Like, you use this guy as a friend. Like this guy is good. And now there's obviously, if he is truly the only senator without representative, I think. The only representative without, an APAC guy or something like that. There is a lot of good incentives to get him the hell out of there if you're an APAC guy. So there's a lot of good reasons. The thing is that would involve somebody being a lot less popular. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot less like popular of if what Massie said was just unpopular to like normie people. And I think a lot of people got kind of excited about like the defunding of like Doge stuff or the
That's
I'm
all
sorry,
anyone could talk about.
It's what people got excited about. I mean, me included. Like there were a lot of people that did that. So I think a lot if like I'm sorry, like the fact that they don't wait like 6 months to do it, because like I wait for like 15 more current things to happen. I was like, if I was trying to pull a fast one like that, I would wait for like 15 current things to happen and then wait for people to forget what that even was, and then refund it. But that's not. They do it almost immediately, and it's actually just an error on that part. And it doesn't mean that like unless you're applying for a position in the cabinet, I don't understand why carrying water for that is so important. But these people like Massie,
I think a lot of like big anon Twitter accounts think they are going to be in the Trump cabinet.
No, they might. I mean, maybe they will. Yeah, maybe they will. Because like half the times when those guys gets doxxed and you're like, oh, that guy was kind of that guy was a little close to certain organizations that I don't love, but there, what I mean is like Massie's popular. I hope there's a lot of people that don't like so like if you're a Republican, right? If you're a Republican, a lot of people that just want Republicans to win don't really want a lot of like they want one candidate to emerge like immediately in the electoral process. Now we're going to have a fresh Democrat and a fresh Republican more than likely in 2028. It's going to happen. I mean, I doubt it's gonna be Biden again. But
that'd be so sick. Dude. That'd be so sick.
83-year-old Biden. Or they AI him like super hard.
Yeah, Joe AI didn't, dude. Yeah, it's for sure.
Joe Biden.
AI.
And he's just and he's just a Terminator robot, and he like knows everything, and you're like, oh fuck.
It's actually scary this time.
But he's a libtard. He's still like a huge libtard, and then
he's like an LLM.
Exactly. And so, but you're gonna, in my opinion, it's probably gonna be Vance. Like I think a lot of people are gonna want Vance to run. Which why wouldn't you, right? Like he's young and kind of understands the way the young people think and stuff, especially and was responsible for that. And then on the Democrat side, you're probably gonna have Gavin Newsom. In my opinion, I think it's gonna be Gavin Newsom. I've seen way too many people do he's so good at media. He shut the fuck up. Do not wait. Do not do this right now. So many people. I even if people are just being banal with it, do not. I am a law of attraction person. We need to say nothing but bad things about Gavin Newsom. Trust me. And
one thing would consider me leaning towards Gavin is if he picks Marshawn Lynch as some kind of cabinet position.
Marshawn Lynch.
No, I'm joking.
I'm afraid to tell you Marshawn Lynch.
Why did he do that podcast with Gavin, dude? That's so crazy. I didn't know Lynch got down like that. That was weird.
He's a libtard.
Yeah.
I mean, Marshawn Lynch he went to Berkeley. And
Marshawn Libs.
Yeah, Marshawn Lib. No, he is. He's from Berkeley. So, I mean, he's from Oakland, but went to Berkeley, and he was like really big on like we need to get our boosterizis from Fauci. You know what I mean? He was like doing he was doing a lot of that shit. Like I'm sorry, I'm done. No thanks.
Yeah,
but no, with Gavin Newsom, it's probably gonna be Newsom against Vance if I had to bet money on who the candidates were gonna be, and this is going to become like, but also you could get what you could create by this is like your own. I'm not saying Massie is Bernie Sanders. I think he has far different politics. In fact, I would say he's the exact opposite politics of Bernie Sanders, but he could create a little bit more of a grassroots coalition that I think will piss a lot of Republicans off. When they want that. And you don't really want to be doing this right now. And I get that he's one of those guys. Like, look, can you be I was just saying this, can you be the only one with principles in basically an arena that does not reward principle, like politics?
Yeah,
I don't know, but I wouldn't want to be like pissing this guy off to where it actually becomes a problem for them in 2028. And primarying him is a bad idea, and I don't think it's going to work one way or another. But I'm glad it made the rounds, and like there were people that were like, "No, wait, what the fuck? That's." Wait, what? Like, is there more to that? People kept going, is there more that I don't know? And usually that means like, holy shit, this guy's fucking up right now. And there's, I'm glad that happened. And I hope there's more dissent against this kind of just playing around and moving around from checking to savings like accounts that they're doing right now with the Doge savings and things. I should say, guys, you should check out our premium feed. It's 40% off right now. 40% off. You can do yearly. You could really gouge us. You could buy a yearly subscription. It's like $30 if you do it. And we don't miss weeks. Like we don't.
Nah,
there's
you ain't
already
missing
over.
weeks.
There's already over 130 episodes on that feed, and they're not time sensitive. It's not current thingy or anything. There's most of these things we're either just messing around or talking about books, talking about movies. Psyops Volume 3 just dropped. Great one, talking about Way of the Peaceful Warrior on there. Battlefield Earth is dropping this week, and want to hear me tear apart L. Ron Hubbard? It's on there. And so anyways, but I moving on, there's just a couple more quick things I wanted to say was I've been listening to the new Post Malone album. This is interesting to me. Now, we talk about music a lot, so I just wanted to bring this up. I like it. I've been listening to it. The problem is like I still, when I go on my walks, I like to just let something play all the way through. And I look down and like there's 12 good songs on the album. There's 12 good songs, which is, in my opinion, an album. There's 27 total. And that's a lot. That's a big discrepancy. You're so what's really depressing about this is that's probably not even the wrong way to go about things. If you're from like a marketing standpoint, because what do people do on streaming services? They just create playlists of your album, right? And there will be about 100 to 200 different permutations of the good songs from the Post Malone album on people's phones. And they're just trying to have more darts for you to pick from, basically, to throw at the board to see which one sticks or see which one gets a bullseye. And I hate that mode of making music, because part of the album is the sequencing and editing process that I think is really important. So like on this album, you'll have a really good song. It's a hit single. It's like total like ESPN College Game Day ass song. Like, I had some help with Morgan Wallen. It's good. Yeah. I made him Jewish, Morgan Wallman. But Morgan Stanley Wallman. But he's like, I'm just a good old country boy. And, we need to send some more rockets over to that strip. He was saying, like, or that song is really good. It's a hit single. Then you have these like archaic songs with like Dolly Parton and Hank Williams Jr., who just have no business making music anymore. They're just not good artists. And it was very much like fan service. And it's like, this is something you just make like a YouTube exclusive out of or something. And like she comes on, she's like, I made you my Apple turnovers for this. Let's hear this new song we did together. And like, that's all you need to do. He's a very affable man. Like it'd be very, that's all you would need to do. There's, like I said, there's 12 really good songs, and I'm like, why wouldn't you just have those be the and it's like, it's pretty well agreed upon. When I was shopping around with the people in Discord, like, what are your favorites? And they're more or less, we had about 8 of the same songs at least that were like, those are the good ones. And there are some, like with Blake Shelton, Brad Paisley, there's some good features on there, but he got rap brained a little bit. He really got rap brained, where it's like, I need my features and I need my solos and I need this and that. And I'm kind of like, nah, this is country, man. Like, you have the power by yourself. You're one of the biggest artists right now. You have a Bud Light campaign. You guys are saving Bud Light, you and Shane Gillis, and do like, you're a huge artist. Like, people love this guy. And Post Malone, I think, is really good because he's one of those guys that I think is going to be popular for like 50 years. No joke. Yeah. Like, I think he's going to be one of those guys. Like, he's going to have like and this sounds like I'm hating, I'm not. Like a Jimmy Buffett, or like one of those like people, Cabo Wabo, Sammy Hagar, you know what I mean? Like, where people just like take the trips and like, take a trip down to like a resort and see Post Malone themed things and stuff. Like, he just seems like that type of guy. Like, he'll get there. And I was just kind of like, man, just the album, the death of the album is really sad to me. I don't like laundry lists of songs.
Yeah, and the feature, I noticed, and I like Post Malone. I think he's talented, and he seems like a good dude. But the feature, the rapification, because there was that era, which was cool, the era we grew up in of rap, where you had your iPod and everything was like featuring Maze, featuring Jadakiss, feature every artist had an album with like all these different tracks, and that worked with that. And now an artist blows up and their collabs are like grandfathered in almost. They're like, oh, you have to do the Doja Cat thing. You have to do. I fucking hate the Post Malone Doja Cat song. It's like I don't even know which one.
I don't even know what it is.
It's the I'll send it to you. The weird like Woke Up in Japan one, you know, the
I'm actually kind of relieved I don't know what that is.
yeah, no, it's yeah, you know, it sucks. But I just hate, yeah, it's almost like your career is set on this arc, and maybe it's always been this way to a certain extent, but it's almost like if you're a mainstream artist now, you are going to do the songs with this set of people, and they're
Right.
gonna suck, and they're gonna stream 45
Yeah.
billion streams and make a bunch of money, and they're not going to satisfy anyone, and maybe they get used in a movie, and there's no, like, you know, it's that independence thing. It used to be like it was like that collab was like a treat, and it's like, oh, what? And I know you don't like this song, but like, oh, David Bowie did a song with Queen, that's crazy and stuff, you know,
Right,
where it's like
right.
kind of like, or at least that was kind of novel and stuff, and now it's just, it's like almost like too collabby, and I don't like it.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
and it's oil and vinegar that people just swish around with a big piece of bread, and they're like, it's easy, it mixes, and you're like,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
doesn't work. Like this doesn't work, and there needs to be somebody, like you see it with movies, right? Like people are I haven't seen it yet, but people are talking about this Steven Soderbergh movie called Black Bag, 90 minutes, action-y, kind of like plotty action, not whodunit, but like more so like assassin, cat and mouse kind of thing, where everybody's just really pumped about it because it's like a well-made 90-minute movie. 90 minutes means you cut out a lot of stuff. It means you found what didn't work, you found what didn't ruin the tempo of the movie, and you took it out. Most people are making 2 hours and 10-minute movies where they should be an hour and 40, you know, like it's just what's happening right now because people don't know how to edit. And the same thing's happening in music. They're making 32 songs and releasing 27 or even 32. You know, they're releasing them all, and there's just like this constant like return on investment thing where they're like, well, we spent the time in the studio to go get Dolly Parton, and it's like, you'll read music biographies and there's just whole albums that just got thrown in the fucking trash that people were just like, this sucked ass. And there might be like and then finally like someone uncovers a bootleg and they're like, wow, it's as ass as I thought. Wow, like we finally uncovered, I'm not saying this happened, but like Iggy Pop and like Bruce Springsteen, and it's terrible, you know, like we found it, like a Farm Aid album, horrible, you know, and like we found it, it's terrible, and I'm glad that they didn't want this out, you know, like that happens a lot. Manuscripts from authors in certain ways, like not everything is meant to see the light of day. This medium's different because I think we just, you know, you want to give people consistent things to listen to and everything, and people are going to have their favorite episodes, and that's fine. But I wouldn't like it just, to me, like it bothered me that I was like, this is a good album. Like this could win album of the year in my opinion, and maybe it still might. This could win album of the year at the Grammys, or at least the CMAs or whatever. He might actually like crush in like Nashville with this album. It's going to be a college game day, absolute like crushing beers, Pat McAfee sleeveless shirt album. Like it's going to be tight. And then you're like, yeah, but the whole ambiance is real. I could never just like throw this on. Somebody would have to throw their playlist of this album on to like keep a party going, because you would hit a lull with this like Dolly Parton track or whatever, you know, Hank Williams track, where everyone's just like, man, this is just not cool. And I'm like, that I just miss when artists were able to curate a little bit more, you know, and actually not just go, here's what I've been working on the last 2 months, and it's everything. And the part of art is knowing what to show to people. And you know, conversely, I'm sure there's a lot of people that go too far the other direction, and where they probably have some good stuff, but they're perfectionists and never release it. And that sucks too. But I think
I miss the LP, especially doing the Prince stuff, and it's like 6 to 8 songs, you know, 20 minutes aside. It's perfect. Like that was such a sweet spot. Maybe you had a double album, you know, one double album in your career, right? You know, and that shit was sick for sure.
Oh man, yeah, exactly. So that's all I had to say about that. And we have a lot of stuff coming up. We got a lot of fun projects coming next week. I'm going to be dedicating the week to Roman Polanski, as you do, and my friend Cody, friend of the pod, Cody, he's going to make his debut on the free feed, I think, with that one. We've been watching not every Roman Polanski movie, but a lot of them. I'm already pretty well versed in some of his movies, but we each read his autobiography, which, if you know what that guy's gone through, it's very interesting to hear him talk about it. And it's it's not on Audible. I don't think it's even on Kindle. They kind of do a media blackout on Polanski, and he definitely got himself into some trouble by his own faults. Absolutely. But it's fascinating. It's going to be a fascinating time. We're going to do that in 2 parts. They'll probably both be free, I think. Feeling charitable on that front, but and then I've probably going to be doing a Lou Reed episode with another good friend of the podcast. Shout out Organized Meat. We're checking out that autobiography, or it's not auto, excuse me, just a regular biography by Anthony DeCurtis. Really good. That dude had hepatitis when he was like 16 from heroin. It's insane. Like, and then like the thing about Lou Reed too is like there's just like always has bitches, and like, dude, the guy's like hepatitis, and he's like you can't even like talk to the guy without him like snapping on you, and he's just drugged out on heroin. Every girl's just like perfect.
Yeah,
like this is
amazing.
Perfect. I would love to have, and he's gay too, and he likes penis and trannies. Like, but that was New York, and I will say that they hate like that whole crowd, that Velvet Underground crowd, the Warhol factory people, they all like hated on the Laurel Canyon stuff that was happening at the time, and they were like, that stuff's lame, like that's all just like hippy dippy bullshit. I'll tell you right now, man, I know a lot of what was happening in Laurel Canyon, like even the secret stuff. I would rather hang out in Laurel Canyon than the fucking factory in New York with Andy Warhol. I would blow my fucking brains out if I would be around that guy, because he would do this thing where he would they would constantly say, well, like Andy Warhol would always, and it just reminds me of like the worst people on the internet right now, is like, I don't care about money. I don't care about money. And then the minute like he would have a private one-on-one, it's like, how do I make more money? I need to like, we need to work on our analytics for this. And like, he was just this whole, and then he would just be this like aloof, like painter guy. That's like, it's just more about the experience. Like, I cannot stand it's just such like a New York art
stated versus
thing.
revealed.
I would much rather just be watching like weird naked orgies in Laurel Canyon any day of the week. That and again, reading the Polanski biography and the Lou Reed biography, I think I'm at least and I've been listening to Weird Scenes in the Canyon. That should make a lot of you guys excited. I have been listening to that, though. I have some interesting thoughts about that. I think I can make that judgment that I would rather be anywhere, any music, any like legit cool music scene. I might rather be in the house of like that black metal guy that ate his bandmate. You know what I mean? Like ate the guy. Like, I think I might rather chill at that guy's house than with Andy Warhol. God, it sounds horrible.
And you're in New York too. Of like, it's just like, come on, what are we doing?
I know, and like, and you know, like, so we'll talk about that, and that'll be really fun. It'll be more of a Lou Reed solo thing. So I know there's a lot of Velvet fans. You guys won't love my Velvet Underground takes. I'll just say that much. If you're a Velvet Underground fan, so yeah, there's a lot of that stuff's coming up. Gain of Fiction, the season finale is over. I will be posting the Battlefield Earth episode, which was really fun. That book is definitely something. And then we've already recorded the submission by Michelle Welbeck, which will be also available on season 2. You will not skip a beat on it. So like I said, 40% off rarecandy.substack.com. Best deal in the house. You can lock it in. You can steal from us. It's fine. So on that note, guys, everybody have a safe week. We'll catch you guys next time.